welcome all. We've been listening to a lot of conversation about well-being. We've been talking about mental well-being, we've been talking about physical well-being throughout the day. And today in this panel, we're going to talk about how wellness has moved online and onto the digital sphere. We're going to talk a little bit about various aspects related to that. And so let's begin. Actually, I'd start with you, Ms. Rachna Chhachhi. You know, there's a lot of us who go online. If there's anything that we need to check out, whether it's mental wellness, whether it's physical wellness, our first thing is to go online and Google it. So what are your views on it? How should we go about it? Is that the correct thing to do?
Yes and no. So there are a lot of credible sites which are there. I mean, just to give you some statistics, there's 658 million Indians online.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone in this room who doesn't do search? Raise your hands. Okay. So everyone is online, and the top 5 searched words on Google India are how to release stress, ADHD for kids, diabetes, cancer, depression.
Wow.
So people want answers, but nobody is going to the doctor.
Yeah.
Because of the stigma attached to depression, mental health, a lot of the LGBTQI plus community is suffering because of this, again because of the stigma attached.
Yeah.
Right? That's the reason that Anhari was started. Having a safe space for mental health, and mental health is not just in isolation.
Yeah.
It is your health, because your brain, your mind is in the same body.
Yeah.
So starting something like this to have a safe and credible space was the focus. And today, 2 years later, we've really grown, and we've got an advisory editorial board and everything around that. So it is the need of the hour.
Yeah.
It's also the need of the hour because 61% Indian women and 47% Indian men are unhealthy.
Yeah.
Where do they go? We don't have enough doctors.
Yeah.
So the online is a good way, as long as you're sure about the credibility of the content.
Dr. Bhargava, what would you like to say about that?
I mean, I think I completely agree with what ma'am said. When you started that, should we be Googling our symptoms or Googling about our health, I think the next thing is going to be, should we just go on to ChatGPT and do the same thing?
Yeah.
But as she rightly said, yes and no, because a lot of times people don't have access to doctors, and when you want immediate information about something, I think the best thing is to Google. When we commonly say that if you Google anything points towards cancer, I think those questions are also pretty skewed, right? Because most people have an understanding, at least in a certain section of society. Yeah. And the section of society that doesn't have an understanding, I don't think they Google it anyways. A lot of people tend to ignore a large aspect of their health, and I think having health available freely, digitally, is the biggest boon of this decade, probably.
Yeah. No, but also, the thing is that when we're Googling something, like you just said, that, everything that you Google, it just says that you've got cancer. Or it scares you, basically. So I think there should be certain safe practices put in. What do you think about that, Mr. Chopraa?
You see, anything that comes with this kind of freedom then comes with its own risks.
Yeah.
Spider-Man says, with power comes responsibility.
Yes.
It's a comic book hero, but stands true for everything.
Yeah.
You can Google anything. I'm sure when she's telling us the top 5 Google words, these are the sort of relevant to the topic. I'm sure there is a lot of nonsense that people Google all the time as well.
Yeah.
Now, for us to know and make that choice, like she correctly pointed out, whether this is a credible source of information or not, should I be listening to what this site is saying to me or not? Is this even Google sponsored, promoted? Is this actually answering my query or queuing into the keywords that I typed in?
Yeah.
And that kind of information and education, everybody will need to have henceforth, because we don't have just real lives anymore. We also have virtual lives, and we need to accept that and educate everybody about Like how we educate little children about crossing the road,
Yeah.
we need to educate little children about what to do online. I think it will be part of our lives henceforth, and we need to know about this.
That is true.
Sorry, I'd like to add to, completely agree with what you just said. This part of the education is completely missing, and what people who go online with a chronic condition don't realize is that Google is scared of lawsuits. So they will give you the worst case scenario just to protect themselves. That's why you need to go with caution, and that's why what he's talking about is so relevant.
Yeah. So in India, the health and wellness market is supposed to grow at a CAGR of about 5%, maybe 5.5, till about 2028. So, now that we're talking about Googling, and that's how we started, that the first thing I would do, y'all would probably do, is Google it, whatever it is. So, how has digital, in your view, pushed and enhanced the space of wellness? What are your views on that?
So 15 years ago, I started my practice online long before COVID forced other people to do the same. I started as a warrior. I had rheumatoid arthritis. I healed myself. I got certified in nutrition, in cancer metastasis as a yoga teacher. Started my practice with my website. 99% of my patients who seek me out, because I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a doctor. They seek me out for chronic conditions, autoimmune, cancer, type 2 diabetes, CKD, morbid obesity. They seek me out online. So the platform is there and it exists to help people. Yeah.
But it has also enhanced the sphere of well-being and wellness, and especially after COVID, we're seeing that it has really given a boost.
Yes.
So because even I was talking to a doctor the other day, and they said that even aspects of telehealth, for that matter, what they've done is that they take away the load from the hospital and the doctor, so he gets free to sort of do the actual patient work. And can I get your views on it as well?
So see, I think the views are very polarizing when it comes to telemedicine.
Yeah.
There are certain doctors who genuinely believe that it's helping, and certain doctors who just believe that it's not possible to consult people online at all. My father's been a surgeon for, I think, 35 years now.
Yeah.
He's of the opinion that telemedicine doesn't work.
Yeah.
He's seeing about 100 patients a day in the OPD, and he wants to do the same. He doesn't want to move to telemedicine because he's like, I can't examine the patient. And the loop keeps continuing, and in turn, I'm going to charge my patient twice, because I will have to charge him for the first primary consult and then get him back here, examine him, and charge him for the secondary consult.
Yeah.
So that's one part. But what is happening now, since you mentioned the CAGR of the wellness, the market, it's booming. Like post-COVID, I think people have started, when I say started taking health seriously, I think health was never on the priority list for people. Now it's finally creeped its way up onto some level on the priority list. I mean, having health as priority number one, I don't think it works in this fast-paced life. But people are talking about it. The sale of wellness products, to talk about nutraceutical supplements, has grown multi-fold. 3 unicorns have been built over the last 3 years just selling supplements to people. There's a company called CareBite, which is providing you consults, therapy sessions, diagnostics, and insurance at 1,000 rupees a year. So that's how affordable they're trying to make wellness for people, and that's what's going to happen. Imagine paying 1,000 rupees for insurance, for doctor consults, for diagnostics, and for therapy sessions. Imagine they're providing therapy sessions unlimited at 1,000 rupees a year.
That's fantastic.
So this is the future. I mean, it's just going to grow from here.
So, Mr. Chopraa, what are your views on digital pushing, or enhancing rather, the space of mental well-being? And also physical well-being rather?
Like I said, it's part of our existence today. And as we become more and more developed, I think, we become lazy. For us, technology and development is for us to not do things with our own hands, not have to do anything really. You would have to go and switch on your TV, then you had a remote. Now you just want to say, Alexa, switch on my TV. I mean, we don't want to press a button. And we find it very exciting. We're all children, no? We find it very exciting that I have to tell a robot to switch on my light and switch on a particular kind of music. I can't type that word anymore. It's so cumbersome. And it's not just that this is happening today and this will stop. This will just go on.
Yeah.
So whether we become the Martians from the future who have big heads and no bodies, I don't know. That's not the topic of discussion. But you're talking about digital, virtual, online presence, and I'm saying this is just going to grow. If the present is any indication to go by, this is just going to go way more than it is right now. This is just the first spurt. Of course, COVID became the like the catalyst for this to boom.
Yeah.
The website that he just mentioned sounded fantastic for a country like India.
Absolutely.
In our sort of financial, economical circumstances, this would seem like wow. But I so agree with what his father says. Because for me, I would rather that the doctor uses all of his, not just bookish knowledge, but also his instinct, his experience of so many years, to look at me and say, बुखार है पर ये normal वाला viral नहीं है जो इस वक्त चल रहा है.
Yeah.
This maybe you have something that is not happening to the 100 other patients since the morning.
Yeah.
And for that, I would rather trust his, which is why we all have family doctors.
Yeah.
Right? So that you can depend on his instinct and also on his or her experience to look at you and know exactly what your position is. So for me, yes, this is exciting. I can do so many things online and it's a new experience. But at the same time, we'll have to find a way where we demarcate the right kind of problems to the right kind of avenue. It will probably take time. Otherwise, people on the panel will be, much better to say how that can happen. But what I feel is that there might be some things that would be easier to do online, and there would be some things that are pertinent to do in real life. And like I said, as part of the education of living and developing a life which has a lot of virtual presence, this should also be a part of it.
It's interesting that you said that for you as a person, like your dad said, that it's more about the FaceTime, the actual FaceTime with the doctor. And that is good because it's reassuring and you get that. But there's certain specialties where it does help, it does save time. And when we talk about mental well-being, and if it was an online place, that could be a safe space where we come and we speak about, we can seek therapy, like you were saying. Go ahead, I know you want to say something.
So you're making a very fantastic point, because this entire conversation has just revolved around, say, the 100 million Indians who have access to all of this, right?
Yeah.
When you talk about telemedicine for India 2, as they call it, so India 1, 2, 3 is based on certain demographics. When you talk about India 2, telemedicine is going to change their lives, because I don't think they've ever visited a doctor for the first 20 years of their life. A woman hasn't visited a doctor till she's pregnant. So these things are going to change very rapidly. The masses definitely are going to face like a huge amount of improvement. But for people like living in this society, we have our family doctors.
Yeah.
So things don't evolve that much for us, but I think for a very large section of the country they will.
Yeah, you're right. And when, there's one more thing that I wanted to speak about, which was the aspect of sexual well-being. So when it comes to, and especially in our country, I would pose that question to you, Mr. Chopraa. So when it comes to our country, do you think that this aspect of that we'll go online and search for cures or talk about it, is it because sex per se is something which is a bit of a taboo subject and it's not spoken about that freely?
I don't know whether I should be telling everybody this or not, but it'll just make it interesting. So when they called me for this panel discussion, and I wasn't really sure because of many things happening. A show has just got released and many things are happening. They said, no, we're trying to get people who have a forte over certain subjects, and then we want them to speak about certain things. And I said, so okay, what is it that you want me to speak about? And she said, sexual wellness. So I said, I'm glad that you think I have forte over this. I don't know how you know that. But I'm very glad that you think of me like that. So now that I'm qualified enough to tell everyone about sexual wellness, I shall use the opportunity and say whatever that I think. I think the problem lies in the fact that right from childhood, there are some things that we encourage little children to talk about. आपको चोट लग गई, मामा को बताओ। स्कूल में कुछ हुआ, पापा को बताओ। कुछ हुआ, हाँ नहीं, डॉक्टर अंकल को बताओ। बट थिंग्स लाइक दिस जो हम बचपन से ही छुपाते हैं ना, बिकम लाइक दिस हिडन, शाय, कॉम्प्लिकेटेड, डार्क जोन फॉर अ ह्यूमन बीइंग. And then you don't feel comfortable about talking about this to anyone. In my very, very modest opinion, I think that a lot of sexual wellness can be achieved just with your partner. Yeah. In my modest opinion. If you were to find the right partner. If you have the right kind of intimacy, openness and communication, a lot of your thoughts and mind games and problems would get solved there. Yeah. Or you would get help at least. But it's this lack of confidence to talk about these things, or I would say there's almost like a pressure to not nudge on that door, that you don't know what to say and to whom and how. Yeah. And so then you don't even know whether to go to a doctor or how to go to a doctor, and again, what to say. In that circumstance, opening your phone and going online and trying to find some answers becomes, I think, a great solution for at least the kind of generations that we've produced so far. We've not encouraged these generations, like I've said before, to talk about these things. Henceforth, we should. Yeah. But it's great that there is this avenue, that you can reach out, that you can speak out, that you can ask for help, and some guidance at least. I would still say that the answer doesn't lie in the avenue. The answer lies in the correct person giving you the correct advice. Yeah. This is just a great avenue to find that.
Yeah, you're right. I'd like to get you in, Ms. Rachna.
So it's funny that, you know, a subject that is taboo in a country which has got the largest population in the world. You know, I would agree with both of them, especially with you. Nobody is taught good touch, bad touch when they're kids, you know. So you grow up feeling hushed about it. That is why online spaces which are credible, which talk about sexual well-being, which is not just about, yes, of course, having good sex, having intercourse is very as important as eating, drinking water for emotional and physical well-being. But also things like 90% of the problems that women face today about not being able to enjoy sex is because of their hormones. The hormones are imbalanced. You know, we have endocrine disruptors in our food and water and air. And because of that, there are issues that women start facing very early on in life. We have a huge population of teenage girls who have PCOS. In a country like India, we've got fertility issues. And there are fertility treatments, both natural and otherwise, available. So having a safe space, just like we talk about mental health, having a safe space, sexual health is part of mental health, it's part of your physical health. So we need to have a platform like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I'm running out of time because the time out there's... So I'm going to just come to all of you one by one for closing remarks. What would be your advice to well-being experts, to the public, especially when it comes to seeking out, you know, treatment and things like that online? So,
simply the fact that there's no guarantee that what you're reading is the most correct, the most accurate, or the most relevant information for you. Know that you're going for a convenient, personal, quick way of finding some answer to your question. But be aware of the fact that there are people out there who are the actual experts who will see you as another human being, understand your circumstance in whole, and then give you a solution. So this might be like the first question and the first answer that you get. But this cannot become like the be-all and end-all of all your problems. So just be aware of the fact that, there are two sides to the coin here.
Yeah, right. So closing remarks from you, Dr.
Oh, I mean, I think we've covered most of it. Like, we've run out of time. But yeah, I think, as he said, just be responsible and find people who can sort of guide you towards the correct avenue. I don't think anybody has the time to teach you exactly what needs to be learned right now. But there are people who are guiding you towards the correct ways to learn, and at least all of us should find that. We should know what to seek and then what to sort of filter out. I think that's the education that is needed.
So basically, it's a good place. Don't be lazy. Get up and go and get some face time. Yeah. Closing remarks from you.
So this is advice for people who go online for sexual health, mental health, other things that they don't want to talk about. Please go to the About page. Look for the credibility of the people who are running the platform. Look for independent advisors on the platform, because if there is a platform for any personal benefits, they may not have a list of independent advisors listed over there. So you can check for credibility and then go to a safe space. There are lots of things like contact forms and inboxing someone, finding them on Instagram. Look for all these things. Be aware. Everything is online. You have to just dig a little deeper.
Great. Thank you so much.